welcome to the second interview of Budō the Way. I've managed to persuade a very good friend of mine, Marcel Vanderschaeghe, to give his interpretation of how he sees Budō. Marcel has been a friend of mine for nearly 30 years. He's been training in martial arts for 35 years, started with Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. He now has founded his own European organization for self-defense, his own system, an astonishingly good system, called Ashihara Goshin Ryu Karate, and I'm proud to say is the founder member of Team Jigoku Germany. As well as having multiple black belts, he has a very good in-depth knowledge of all things martial, including Bushido and Budō. This interview and his talk is really interesting. We'll have a little discussion at the end of it, but I think you'll thoroughly enjoy it. It looks at Budō in a very different way, about the interconnectedness of it and how Budō could theoretically be taken off at a tangent, okay, in a different way. So sit back, enjoy it, and I'll see you the other side, okay? And welcome. So this is the main meat of the section, if you like. So today, I've already done my introduction. So I would like to thank Marcel for taking time out of his day for coming in and chatting about how he sees Budō in everyday life. And welcome, Marcel.
Thank you very much for your inviting.
So I'm really interested in seeing and listening to your version. I really appreciate the fact that you had to write it in German and then switch it into English, and probably I think the 3 or 4 languages that I know you speak. You always say that this is the worst one, but I always think you speak English. Well, your English is better than my German. That's a start anyway. That's always a fact. So I would now like to turn the stage over to yourself, and I look forward to hearing what you're saying about Budō.
Thank you very much. Well, you've already described the difference between Budō and Bushido very beautifully and simply in your book. And to go more into the details about the small but stable or subtle difference between Budō types and Bujitsu types would be probably go beyond the scope of this video. But I think it would be also a very interesting topic for the future. As is well known, there are 7 virtues of mentioned ones. The first is Gi for rectitude, sincerity, justice. Yu for courage, Jin, benevolence, humanity, or kindness. Rei, respect. Makoto, honesty. Meio, sense of honor or just honor. And Chugi, loyalty, sense of duty, and faithfulness. These 7 virtues can also be found in the 5 main requirements of Bushido and are often found in the form of a dojo-kon in any dojo or smaller ryo. The first one is loyalty. In the classic sense, this means loyalty to a ruler, the homeland, or the family, or loyalty and respect for parents and elders, but also, and that's for me very important, to oneself and diligence. Second is politeness. This includes love, modesty, and etiquette. Number 3 would be bravery. Toughness, cold-bloodedness are meant by this. It's a war, but also patience and perseverance. Number 4 is openness and sincerity. This refers to a sense of honor and justice. And number 5, the last one, is simplicity. This refers to purity in person or in the action of a person. There are religiously oriented writings that also classify Bushido in the 7 virtues of the 7 great kami of the Shinto religion. They are honesty, courage, compassion, politeness, honor, sincerity, and loyalty. Thus closing the circle, as it were, because these are the 7 virtues of Budō. So you can't really separate both from another. But the main topic, or I was asked by you to tell a bit about my favorite virtue, and to be honest, in fact, I don't have a favorite virtue. Because in my opinion,
I genuinely think sometimes it's a bit unfair when I put people under pressure to say to them, can you pick a virtue and can you work with it? Because
you said to me, oh, I don't know, I can't pick one. It's like picking a favorite child. And I understand, yeah, I understand exactly what you mean by that. So I really appreciate the fact that you're taking time, because this is very interesting.
I try to do my best to explain it. So it's really difficult. Like I said, in my opinion, they belong all together, and only in their totality do they form what we understand by Budō. A single virtue may be quite nice to look at it, but from my personal point of view, it just loses its meaning too quickly if it doesn't play together with other virtues in some way at some point. Most people, when asked what their favorite virtue is, will certainly choose chugi, so loyalty, duty, and fidelity, followed immediately by meio, honor, of course. This makes sense. But as I mentioned at the beginning, only together. What good is loyalty without an honorable cause? What good is appearance of honorable conduct under false motives? The history of mankind has provided much evidence that terrible things have been done under the guise of loyalty or honor. Or one must clearly say, misunderstood the term honor. The Second World War created a term for this in Germany called Kadavergehorsam. That means cadaver's obedience. And by cadaver's obedience is meant a blind loyalty without questioning the legitimacy of the action. And I'm firmly convinced that this is a clear disregard from the principle of loyalty. For me, the 7 virtues apply not only to other people, but also to myself as a person. The demands of the virtues include me as a person. An example, I am demander to myself. I will try to explain how I understand the whole construct and how it's interlocked for me. Loyalty. I am loyal to my friends, but I'm also loyal to myself, which means I have values, insights, ideas, and principles to which I want to remain loyal. So I am loyal to myself. I can combine this without violating loyalty to my friends or to those who I owe loyalty in any way. Although I have a problem with owing loyalty, it's quite a difficult concept, but it's another topic. What does it mean to be loyal to my friends? And I would like to explain it with an example directly with you. I think it's a bit more concrete because we want to see how I use virtues in the here and now. We are not in Japan and we don't live in the Middle Ages. You've earned my...
Yeah, it's very true, very true.
You've earned my loyalty, that's why we're such close friends, and it's not by chance. Loyalty means I stand by your side no matter what, but also question your actions and then don't accept anything, everything. It's not cadaveric obedience that comes into play here. And it is where the other virtues start to come in, because my loyalty as a friend requires me to speak my mind. And in many cases, this requires courage too, because it can be unpleasant for both sides. It would be quite easy to sit down and say, yes, Mark, all right, Mark, you're right, Mark, of course, Mark, oh, like many people say, Hanshi. But for me, that has nothing to do with loyalty. Parroting is just a way of going with the flow, and in my opinion, contradicts the virtue of Gi, and thus indirectly Makoto and Chugi themselves. That means I need courage to say, Mark, I don't agree with this, or I see it completely differently than you see it now. That doesn't mean that I leave your side. I'm loyal, but I don't just accept everything without contradiction. It's not my job as your friend to always say yes and amen. And I know amen is a stupid word now for you. And to have the courage to do so has something to do with Makoto, honesty, authenticity. I don't bend myself to suit your opinion. I'm sincere towards you, towards the environment, but also very important to myself. That's what Gi, rectitude, means to me. Loyalty is too often confused with a blind obedience or simple consequences, and then this is combined with misunderstood honor. In such cases, the virtue of Rei, respect, as well as Shugi, loyalty, are simply misinterpreted and lived. My duties as a friend, to stay with the example from before, include warning you about things or giving you other points of view so that you are able to make a decision. Whether this decision is sensible or not remains to be seen then. I then still have the possibility to check whether I can live with your decision or not, whether I want to be actively involved in your decision or not, or in the execution of this decision. So here, it's a question of checking whether the virtues are appropriate for me personally as a requester or not. Now, I'm not saying that all virtues have to come together in a situation for them to be meaningful or justified. No, there are several virtues that, in my opinion, simply intervene. What we always should have is Shugi, Meio, Makoto, Yu, and Di. And I think these 5 virtues that should always work together. It's like the Olympic rings, you know, the symbol for the Olympic Games. The virtues of Jin and Rei, that is humanity and respect, are among the virtues where I personally believe that they are always situational. But even these cannot actually be separated from the others in that way. What do I mean by that? Just let's continue with the friend example. I get into a situation where I have to muster up the courage to express my opinion to you as my friend and still remain loyal. Now, first of all, it's important to understand what's your perspective. I have to take the time to understand your point of view, which has to do with politeness, but also with humanity, because only in this way I can feel or experience what this matter means to you, how difficult a situation and, if necessary, a decision is for you or not. On the other hand, listening to and accepting other opinions, which does not mean that you necessarily accept them and later implement them accordingly, but simply accepting other opinions has nothing to do with weakness, but also with respect and humanity. In my opinion, this example can be mirrored in everyday's life, variation of situation, professional life, where you may not have such emotional closeness to your co-workers or superiors, but here and then there are situations where you have to show courage by standing up for what you're doing or what you believe are. Loyalty to another person or institution always ends where I no longer see myself as a person, or where I no longer see loyalty for myself as a person. Loyalty and honor are not the same as self-sacrifice. Only those who love themselves are in a position to feel love for others. And I'm not talking about pathological forms of narcissism or egoism now. Only when I accept myself as I am, when I have made it clear to myself where I stand, what my convictions are, then I can also offer this to others. And here the problem already becomes clear. It's individual, and we cannot blindly stretch the virtues completely over a society, for all I care, or over a group. For example, the Yakuza will interpret it differently than we who are talking about this topic right now. We both have the same mindset. Let's take you, for example. It's courage. Is it courage to climb around the outside of a skyscraper without a safety device? Or is it courage to climb onto a roof of a moving train? Is it courage to steal a vehicle, then speed down the motorway without a license and common sense? Is this courage, or is it just foolish and stupid? Again, it probably depends on which group you are asking. Ask teenagers, for example. In my opinion, it's stupid and has nothing to do with courage and honor. They will see it in a different way. You see, I can't give you a clear all-encompassing answer to the question of the favorite virtue. For me, it's always a combination of several virtues. So what is significance to the 7 virtues in our daily lives? What is significance to the word humanity, honesty, honor, loyalty for children, young people, or young adults today? Honestly, basically none. They are meaningless and hollow phrases if they have not been filled with sensible guidance and education. If these virtues are not exemplified, they have no deeper meaning and are often misunderstood, reinterpreted, and misinterpreted. So it's up to us to exemplify these virtues to our children, our youth, our students in general, so that they can relate to them. reading your book, studying it, and trying to understand is the best way to start. There's just a simple saying, every journey begins with the first step, and I can say about myself, and that's honest, I'm still a long way away from reaching my destination. So it isn't quite simple for this. I've just tried to explain it in my point of view with the example of our friendship. I have no clue if it is good enough for you.
I think what I really liked there was the broader implications for other groups, and in particular the bit you mentioned there about with young people. We'd spoken just before the interview about the fact that I will be doing a solo one about Budō and the child. But you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right when you turn around and you said, if somebody's scuttling around like YouTubers hanging off buildings, or is that courage, or is driving a car fast with no insurance or without due care for other people, thinking they're in one of the driving things, what are those, forgetting the name, there's about 9 films in about now, do you know what I mean? Is it something like that? And I fully agree with you that without a solid base, a fertile base, the virtues have the potential, as you rightly mentioned with the Yakuza, to grow in a more slanted way that doesn't benefit society as a whole. It only benefits a group or an individual within society. I fully agree with that.
You can take an example, dynamite from Nobel. You can use it for a proper, useful way, or you can use it for damaging the next bank or whatever. You can use it for war. And in the virtue, is it the same? If you have a group, or if you have a teacher who uses the virtues in his bad behavior way, it means complete different things. It's not what we both think about the 7 virtues. So it's not easy. You can't take the virtues and say, here we go, here is it. Have a nice day, it will be work. You have always to work with it. You have to give guidance. Like you said, the lack of guidance is the most problem for children and youth nowadays. There is no guidance from a proper way.
One of the things I often say to people when they ask me about, this is the reason why this whole idea about Budō and the young people have come up. One of the things I say that you as a parent have to invest. This thing called parental investment is the most important thing. It's not allowing your kids to spend 3 or 4 hours on a tablet amusing themselves. Children today are increasingly becoming digital children, in that I know of young people that have best friends that they've actually never physically met.
Yeah.
They have never been in a physical space with this person, but they are best friends. And I think one of the problems from that, myself personally, comes from parental investment. The parents have to take a firmer hold on this. I'll investigate this later on in a different one, but that was an absolutely brilliant, really good viewpoint, and looking at them, it raises a lot of wonderful questions to be addressed. And just before this finish, I'd just like to take this time to say thank you very much for taking the time. I fully understand this wasn't your first language, but it was very well done. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So, I think you'll agree that was a really interesting take on the virtues, really interesting ideas that would express forward about the interconnectedness of all the virtues. The example he used of the Olympic rings, for example, when he spoke about the the Yakuza values being slightly different, and how when you have this interconnectedness, like the Olympic rings, how the Budō virtues can be used to enhance the positive and check the negative. He introduced the concept of what was the value base, hence with the Yakuza, what was the value base. So we spoke about, again at the end, the importance of introducing Budō Virtues as an earlier age as possible, and we will explore the strategies. We will explore the strategies for that. Some of the reasons why I came up originally with the book manual, the book is written in the foreword. You can find this. I've taken the whole foreword from the book and I put it on my webpage at ibkuk.com. You just click on the menu and find Budō, the Book of the Way, and there's the photo of the book, and then there's the foreword there, and you can read that and get an understanding of where I'm coming from. But this is yet another fine example of an exploration that we're all making of the Budō Virtues. It comes at it from a very different point. It opens our eyes up, just like Eric did in the first one, of different ways of how we see the virtues, of how we can use the virtues, and it adds to our understanding. And at the end of it, this is what we're looking for. We're looking for a good body of knowledge that enhances our understanding of Budō and its virtues in everyday life. So I have another great interview coming up shortly. It's fantastic. It'll add even more to your understanding of Budō and the Budō Virtues. So stay tuned for that. Thank you very much. And my apologies for, I'm just coming to grips with kind of digital technology. It's almost like I'm going to be happier with like a Super 8 video or something camera. So I'm slowly getting things right. So hopefully in about 5 or 10 years, it'll be brilliant. But I'll make certain I keep working at it. But until then, remember, this is our way.